So today's conversation will be about Venezuela. If you look at the news over the past weeks, America is loading up something. I want to start this conversation by giving you a segue to what is really going on. So recently, the U.S. President Donald Trump posted a funny meme talking about, oh, the Venezuelans are under pressure, that Maduro is begging me, meaning the U.S. president claiming that the Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro is asking him, to stand down, that whatever he needs, Maduro will do. So basically, what America is looking for is a privatization of the oil infrastructure, of the oil refineries, of the wealth of Venezuela to private capital. And this is Trump probably coming to power, promising some of his friends that he's going to allow them to have, some of the oil wells in Venezuela. Now, this is not like me giving some sort of definitive position on this. I don't really know much about it, but this is the position that the Americans are more or less taking. So the Nobel Prize for this year, 2025, was won by a Venezuelan lady, and these are the people that have been going against the Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. So the lady said in an interview with one of the right-wing media groups in America, and said that she is going to privatize the oil sector in Venezuela, that she's going to make it possible for American business people to come in and invest in Venezuela and so on and so forth. So this is not about narcotics going after traffickers like Maduro and his people are claiming. It has never been about a clampdown on narcotics. It has been about the insatiable thirst for mineral resources, of America taking charge and controlling the minerals of other countries around the world. And this is exactly what they are trying to do to Venezuela. So it's about time for us to wake up and open our eyes and see the reality and see what is going on, instead of believing, America will come up with one, story today, tomorrow is another one, so nobody believes this anymore. So anytime America comes up with this whole idea of, oh, we are trying to bring about human rights, we are trying to do this, we are trying to do X, Y, Z, we know exactly, what this is about. We know it's about, the interests of these guys in Washington, D.C., and all their friends. So it more or less is about private capital. I have to think, Bashi, can you confirm that you can hear me? I need to do a quick sound check. If you can confirm that you can hear me, then we'll continue the conversation. Please confirm that you can hear me. So this is about taking control of Venezuelan oil. It's nothing about democracy and human rights and the activities of the Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and so on and so forth. It's about controlling the resources. This is what it has always been about, controlling the resources of Venezuela. And this is what the United States of America, is trying to do at this point. So today's conversation will be about Venezuela. I'm going to give you some of the I'm going to give you some of the information in terms of the demography of Venezuela, in terms of the geography of Venezuela, and the abundance of oil reserves that Venezuela have, and American interest in Venezuela. Recently, we have been seeing this attack planned by the CIA, by the American military, targeting vessels, quote unquote, that are carrying narcos and trying to smuggle them into Florida. It has never been about that. It has never been about that for 1 minute. This is the United States of America again, like they've always done, intervening in the politics of countries around the world for their own benefits. So, I mean, if you want to believe what the information that they put out there, that this is all about trying to stop the narcotics and the flow of narcos into America, and all that information that they are putting out there for the rest of the world to see, is a facade. So what the military industrial, and this is a two-pronged approach to benefit both the military industrial complex and capitalists in America in general that are aligned to this government, And Trump believes he's the one that will be able to do it in order to hand over Venezuelan oil and the fate of the Venezuelan people to American multinationals. Because he said if we don't do it, the Chinese are coming to our backyard to take charge of this abundance of oil. So he's saying if America does not do that, think about China now having control of, and this is why the Venezuelans are very careful not to even partner with China, particularly in relations to energy. They are very careful. I mean, the Chinese have built some infrastructure for them, ports. They have invested a lot of money in the economy of Venezuela, which is dwindling and failing. Why? Because of the sanctions, the enormous pressure put on the Venezuelan bolivar by the United States of America. You guys need to understand that the impact, the pressure, the economic power of America is unrivaled. In fact, China, it will take some doing for China to get onto that level. So this is the conversation we want to have today. Um, so for those of you just joining, thank you so much, guys. Um, like the live, share it, and if you have questions, you can leave your questions, and I'll respond to them accordingly. Tell us about what you think and about what is going on in Venezuela. We need more information in respect to that. So don't forget, like I said, to share the video. Leave a comment on it. We saw the same narrative with Iraq. We saw the same narrative with Afghanistan. We saw the same narrative. And now we're talking about the 9/11 stuff and the recent report. If whatever people like Tucker Carlson and all these guys are saying is anything to go by, the information we are hearing now that the CIA director at that time facilitated the coming into America of some of the hijackers. Again, I don't have and know for certain, this is a disclaimer by the way, because I don't have the complete information, but some of these journalists and some of these independent media outlets in America are putting out these informations, and I'm quoting from what they're saying, that some of the things we saw and some of the information that was put out there as a precursor to invading Afghanistan were not accurate. The information we have was not accurate. And the same thing applied to Iraq. Um, so this is what I want us to discuss today. Thank you so much, Bashir. I see you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing, guys. Let's keep the likes and let's keep it going. So, like I said, the U.S. is locked and loaded, and there's this real possibility of America going into Venezuela. There's a real possibility, and people are talking about even going beyond that to, what is going on in Colombia, with what is going on, America, and the support for like dictators in the region like Nayib Bukele, and what he's doing with the prison systems in El Salvador. The disdain that the Americans are taking towards the leadership of Colombia because of the position that Colombia, is taking in relations to, whatever is going on. So these are some of the things that I intend to talk about today. For those of you just joining, you're welcome. Don't forget to like and share, and let's, continue with our conversation. Um, Trying to see how I can get my internet to stabilize my internet before I begin, so we won't have any issues. Thank you for thank you for Okay. So we're back. I have to quickly fix my internet. So here are some of the key events you need to know in relations to how all of this started. So it started, I think it was with the recent one. Basically, on October 14th, there was another attack. There was another strike on a boat that the U.S. alleged was drug trafficking boat off the Venezuelan coast, and it killed 6 people. And earlier, around September 2nd, 2025, a kinetic strike also destroyed another vessel, killing 11, which Trump called drug trafficking link. Now, according to source, at least 32 casualties and 2 captured have resulted from the 2025 naval blockade happening on the coast of Venezuela. So basically, there's a complete naval blockade waged by the Americans on Venezuela. So the essence of the naval blockade is to stop them from selling their oil. The sanctions have been there, the punitive measures, the tariff have been there, but America have decided now to wage complete war on Venezuela. When he came to power, he was bragging about the fact that, yeah, when I threatened them that there will be third-party sanctions, there will be this XYZ, that all of them ran away. This is what the U.S. president, is bragging about. That he warned them that if they decide to continue antagonizing America, there will be third-party sanctions, that they will have to pay the price, and all of them are scared of him. This is what he brags about. This is what he's been talking about that he intends to do to Venezuela. So are we surprised today now that they are talking about narcos? This has never been about narcos. You have to look at the demand and supply. Most of the what is fueling this is the demand in the United States of America. What is fueling this narco war in the Americas is the demand in the United States of America, and some of the policies of the government is what is driving the cost up, and is driving the level of violence and the amount of trafficking and all of that going on. So according to source, like I said, at least 32 people have been directly killed as a result of this American war waged, illegally on Venezuela, you know, targeting boats. Some of them, these are fishing boats. Basically, they target and take them out. So they are targeting some of these fishing boats. So the CIA covert operation, admission and land strike possibility. Now, Trump confirmed he has authorized the CIA to operate covertly inside Venezuela. He also indicated that land operations are being considered as the next phase. So this is exactly what is going on. These operations, according to him, are justified publicly as counter-narcotics or narco-terrorism missions. This is what the U.S. President Donald Trump is saying in respect to what the U.S. is doing in Venezuela. And speaking about military deployments and posture in the Caribbean, like we've seen recently, U.S. warships, submarines, special ops, helicopters are operating in the Caribbean waters near Venezuela. Basically, off the coast of Venezuela, nothing can come out now and nothing can go in. They are basically targeting them and, waging this more or less blockade on Venezuela illegally. So Maduro said he was ready to negotiate in order to ease tensions. Well, Trump has been mocking him and talking all sorts of nonsense about this. So what is the legal and diplomatic pushback? Now, Venezuela has asked the UN Security Council to condemn U.S. strike as illegal, asserting violations of its sovereignty. Critics and experts question whether these actions comply with international law and constitutional constraints on the U.S. Well, we have seen this for for a fact that America doesn't care about international law. They don't give a shit. It's not something they are not running around saying, oh, well, because of international law, we are not going to do this anymore, XYZ. The United States of America does not give a crap about international law. The US does not give a shit. So for those of them thinking that, oh, America is going to comply, the International Court of Justice is going to do this, the which other one again? The International Court of Justice, and all these things people keep quoting. America does not care about the ICJ. America does not really give a shit about whatever the international courts or the international institutions think about it. The US don't give a rat's. That's the last thing they're thinking about. It's about power, it's about control, it's about influence, it's about taking charge of Venezuelan oil well. For those of you just watching, don't forget again to like. We are 8 here. Let's get the numbers up by liking and sharing. And by doing so, let's like and share. It's very important. So let's get the likes up so we can get the algorithm to get to be favorable to us. For those of you that care to like, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Let's keep the stream going. Maduro said he was ready to negotiate in order to ease tension. Yeah, I saw that as well. And after Maduro said that, the U.S. president was basically mocking him and said, "Oh well, that the pressure is working. That after he put pressure on Venezuela, that Maduro is begging him." So this is what America is saying. So this kind of president is not a president that we have to take seriously. This is a deranged president. This is a deranged president that don't even care about his own people. This is a deranged president, that is willing to, push America to war because of the interest of himself and his friends. Um, this is a deranged president that is willing to go to war to put America on the precipice. And while he's talking about that, the same guy is asking for a Nobel Peace Prize. So this is some kind of facade. It's a ploy, it's a game, and there's a real possibility that America will put their foot on the ground, and there will be grave, grave consequence if America does that, because this current president is on a war footing, and he's trying to, see what he can get. Say, oh, yes, well, we sense weakness in them, let's go in there. And we heard that Brazil as well is mobilizing troops on the border with Venezuela, because America will not just stop at Venezuela. They have also been warning Brazil that they shouldn't. That this is the U.S. president warning the Brazilian president, uh, Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva, not to put uh, the former president in jail. Because the former president, remember what happened with him and how they put Lula in jail. And also there were corruption charges against him as well. And now the court sent him to jail. America is not happy with it. With the US president openly threatening and even claiming that he's going to intervene if these guys there put the court in Brazil puts, I think it's Jair Bolsonaro in jail. It's insane. These Americans, man, they're so full of themselves. Like, honestly, I'm trying to see. Okay, sorry. Where can I get the proper thumbnail? Thank you so much. Nothing in nothing, but Colombia can be essential. Yeah, Colombia might do a better job, but again, like, is Colombia willing? Is this something that Colombia is willing to do? We don't know for sure whether it's something that Colombia is willing to do. Is Colombia willing to get involved? Is Argentina? Argentina is another one. The U.S. is trying to give Argentina over $20 billion or something like that to get involved in this as well. So if they're going to give them 20 billion in order to get involved, this is a very, very dangerous time. These are trying times, and we have to be very careful because America, again, like we've always seen them do, one intervention after another, getting involved in the politics of these countries, for political gains. So weapons and defense capabilities. Venezuela reportedly possessed Russian-supplied KH-31 anti-ship missiles, air launched, capable of threatening naval vessels. Venezuela have advanced air defense system, the S-300, SA-24, etc., that could complicate aerial incursions. Yeah, it's not going to be an easy walk, but America is willing to do it. Trump is willing to do it. All of this is about money. It's about money, it's about influence, it's about power, it's about control. And this is what Trump and his people are looking out to do. This is what they've been saying. They're angling for war. They're basically dying to go to war with the rest of the world. All of this because of minerals, because of rare earths. And we're even hearing the position of the US President Donald Trump changing in respect to Ukraine. These are the same people that will say something at night and say a different thing during the day. So Trump have been talking about how he has, authorized the CIA, operation in Venezuela, and giving justification. But today, let's look at the historical context of the current situation and the relationship between America and Venezuela, and the Americas. In fact, America's involvement in the Caribbean and in the Americas. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Said. So when you transition from the current developments and what is happening, you want to look at the historical, depth in order to understand what is really going on. Now, the U.S. intervention in the Americas goes back a very long time. Military coups, the support for proxy forces, backing up dictatorship in Guatemala in 1954, Chile with Augusto Pinochet in 1973, Nicaragua with the support of America for the Contras. So the new CIA operation revives old patterns in respect to what they call the Monroe Doctrine. Now, all of this is also about resources. Like I said, oil reserve and resources is at stake because Venezuela is an oil-rich country. U.S. companies and American strategic interests have long been tied to Venezuelan energy. So all of this is about their strategic and political and economic interest in Venezuela. It has nothing to do with the whole facade of the narco wars and America trying to stop the inflow of narcotics into Florida and other parts of the United States. So this is not the plan. I mean, if America wants to stop the inflow of narcos into the U.S., they can ask Mexico. They can do that, take it up with Mexico. But these are American energy firms and companies eyeing to take up positions and take up energy infrastructure and have drilling rights in the waters of Venezuela. And they are trying to bully their way into power. This is what it's about. It is, not about the situation that they tell you, oh, well, we are protecting our interests, we are trying to do X, Y, Z. It has nothing to do with that. Absolutely nothing to do with that. And this is what where we found ourselves today with the United States of America. So, like I said, this is a very interesting conversation that we can have. This is an interesting conversation. So, for those of you just joining, don't forget to like and share. We'll also be talking about this in relations to the U.S. involvement in Venezuela. Now, the Bolivarian Revolution and the whole idea that started by Hugo Chavez. By the way, if you want to go back and look at the independence and the decolonization that happened in America, you can talk about people like Simon de Bolivar and the role that they played in the decolonization of countries like Venezuela and Colombia and Bolivia and most of these countries in the Americas. Because remember, the Spanish were there, the French were in the Antilles area, the Dutch were there. So, but it was Simon de Bolivar, through his efforts that led largely to the decolonization of most of the countries in South America. So, so during the leadership of Chavez between 1999 and 2013, there was a shift, towards nationalism, socialism, in what Hugo Chavez called the Bolivarian Revolution, referring and linking it to Simon de Bolivar. This is America, our business. Well, it's also my business about what is going on around the world. I have a special interest in what is happening around the world. It's not just your business, to talk about that. So Maduro says, so we can also talk about what happened with Hugo Chavez. So between 1999 and even there was a time period that there was a brief military coup in Venezuela that removed him from power, and the army stepped in again and reinstated him back to power. So so there was a shift towards socialism, nationalism, anti-US rhetoric, alliances with Russia and China. All of this happened during the rule of the president Hugo Chavez. And after Chavez died, the vice president, Nicolas Maduro, took over power from Chavez, and the tensions continue. Now, the tensions rose sharply as sanctions increased and claims of foreign meddling and, amid the whole idea of democracy, because this is the game they have been playing. Oh, we want you to democratize enough. You don't have real democracy in Venezuela. We want you to have real democracy in Venezuela. And all this bullshit that they're banding around, it has absolutely nothing to do with that. This is the United States of America trying to take charge of Venezuelan oil. And they are making a case that, this is about democracy and human rights. This is not the first time. At least this president in America is blatant enough to make it clear that he doesn't care, that to him, it's about power, it's about control, it's about influence, and this is exactly what the US President Donald Trump is more or less interested in. Now let's look at the legal and geopolitical and risk analysis. Now all of this started, like I said, with the second emergence of President Trump, winning election earlier this year. And he has been insisting that Venezuela must be broken. He has been insisting that he wants to fight the narcos and whatever's coming from Venezuela and Colombia. This is what he said, but he parked most of the vessels on Venezuelan waters close to the shores of Venezuela, stopping them from selling their oil in order to squeeze them out economically to punish the Venezuelan people. And this is not okay. And by the way, remember that Venezuela can also sell oil through Brazil. And this is why America is also, having all this sort of interest. And Brazil is also prepared because they know what is coming. So the UN Charter prohibits the use of force against another state's territorial integrity except in self-defense or with Security Council authorization. America is not seeking Security Council authorization. America is not interested in what the UN Security Council is saying. The US is interested in power. It's about control. It's about influence. It's about what America wants. So this has always been the game. The United States of America going to Venezuela has nothing to do with fighting against narcos. It has everything to do with Venezuelan oil and an attempt to remove Maduro from power, to take away socialism and any form of state control of their natural resources, of their oil wells, of their refineries, and hand it over back to private capital with investors from America, or you can call them capitalists and bullies from the United States of America. These guys want to take control of Venezuelan oil, eroding the sovereignty of Venezuela, taking away the sovereignty of Venezuela like they have done to countries around the world, like they are doing to Nigeria today with Chevron, ExxonMobil, Shell, British Petroleum, like they did in Iran, and eventually kicked out the Shah in 1979 because he refused to renew the agreement. This is about capitalism. It's about bullying countries into acquiescence. It's about control. And this is exactly what they are trying to do in Venezuela. So what are the regional and diplomatic backlash? Now, Latin American countries and blocs like ALBA, CARICOM may also see the US action as neocolonialism and imperialism. Of course they see it, but what can they possibly do? What is country like El Salvador and all these countries going to do to the United States of America? Absolutely nothing. It's about taking power and taking control in terms of what they relate to the Monroe Doctrine. Now, Venezuela's appeal to the UN and its legal claim, we've been hearing, anytime something like this happens, they run to the UN. What exactly is the UN going to do? What role is the UN going to play in terms of really stopping this? Okay? When you have all these giant multinationals running around, putting their weight around and trying to stop countries like Venezuela and countries like Bolivia, El Salvador. These are very small countries in terms of demography. By the way, Venezuela is a big country in terms of population, by the way. It's one of the biggest countries in South America by population. But the economy is in trouble. This is why a lot of people are migrating out of the country. The economy is in trouble as we speak. So we have 12 people listening and 1,300 likes. Please like the live stream and share the live stream if you can. So this has nothing to do with democracy and human rights and all that nonsense they are talking about. It has absolutely nothing to do with that. Again, like I said, it's about the United States of America, doing what they do best, about taking resources from people. It's about power. It's about control. And enough is enough. The rest of the world needs to stand up and say enough is enough. It's about taking control of the resources of Venezuela. This has nothing to do with democracy. It has nothing to do with the tyranny of Nicolas Maduro. It has nothing to do with the Bolivarian Revolution. It has everything to do with American power. It has everything to do with naked, chronic capitalism. And this is what the United States of America intends to do. And we can look at the plethora, a long list of American interventions in the Americas. Chile with Augusto Pinochet and the removal of Salvador Allende, the support for dictator Rios Montt, the support for the Contras in Nicaragua against the Sandinistas, intervention in Bolivia, Argentina, Cuba, Haiti, the support for Fulgencio Batista in Cuba, the invasion of the Bay of Pigs. The list is endless. Where can I start from? The list is endless. And this is exactly what they are trying to do to the rest of the world. And if we keep our eyes closed and we stay silent, this will happen to each and every country, not just in South America, but will continue to happen in other countries around the world. It will continue to happen to other countries around the world. Um, Not one plane going over Venezuela since 3 hours. Yes, so the situation is getting really tense at this point. So you're saying that Venezuela is not a real country, it's America's. Well, the Venezuelan people will have a different opinion on you saying that their country is not a real country. Maybe we can say that about the United States of America. Maybe we should say that about America and American, control and American power and whatever the United States is doing around the world. Maybe we can have the same conversation about America, since your intention and whatever you're saying is that it's not a real country. I don't agree with you 1 second, but I mean, that's your opinion. You want to think that Venezuela is not a real country. These are people that have a long history and have a national pride. These people were there from the beginning. Just like you and your people came to invade that country, the United States is a country of migrants. You guys are all over the place and you're telling us that Venezuela is not a real country. What are you talking about? What exactly are you on about? The Venezuelan people also deserve dignity. They deserve to have rights. And you want to take away the rights from them. Why do you want to take away the rights from the Venezuelan people? Why do you think they don't have a right to own and control their own countries and their own companies and infrastructure? Just the same way you see that the Nigerian government is not forcing its way to try to take control of your own resources, you shouldn't try to do that to them. What is your intention in Venezuela? Make it very clear. Is it about narcos? What exactly are you doing in Venezuela? Make it clear for the rest of the world to know. So what are the military risk and escalation? Venezuela's air defense system, for instance, there might be a miscalculation. The Venezuelan air defense system could shoot down, a U.S. aircraft or any of their warships, for instance, and America will now have the excuse and tell the American people, oh, we are under attack. Well, you took your vessels there and parked it on their lawn in order to look for this. So that you attack them and you rally around the country. America is struggling at this point in time. A lot of issues surrounding, the protests, the millions of people turning out and protesting against the President Donald Trump in the No Kings protest. So this is an attempt by the United States of America and the leadership in America to deflect from the economic domestic woes of America to seek war abroad in order to unite the base at home, like they did in Iraq, like they did in Afghanistan, like they did in Libya. Every single American president, including the ones like Donald Trump that are claiming that they are anti-war. The US now is amplifying tensions between Pakistan and Afghanistan in order to put pressure on Afghanistan to hand over the Bagram Air Base to America. Well, this is on their territory. If you're going to stay there, you have to pay them. What do you want to use the Bagram Air Base for? You want to use it to as a check on China and Iran, so that you can have an eye on the nuclear facilities in China. This is what it's about. So for you, it's about... Good morning, Abel. How you doing? So for you, it's all about power and control and taking charge of their resources, but you're not interested in the well-being of these people. This is what capitalism is about. It's about greed. It's about the naked exploitation of man by another man, according to Karl Marx. Exploitation. Expropriation of surplus value. So, of course, collateral damage, civilian casualties, domestic resistance could happen if the US goes headlong to attack Venezuela. And we might be looking at 1.5 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million dead, with conflict prolonging for the next 15 to 30 years. When Trump is dead, when he's no longer alive. So these guys want to create problems because when they are sitting on that seat, they think they have too much power and they lose sense of reality. They lose their sense of morality and belonging. They forget about everything that has to do with, sense of morality. It's not about morality for them, it's about power and control and influence. This is the same Trump that accused or was, mocking the former president, George Bush, for starting wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. He's doing exactly the same thing. If Trump goes to Venezuela, we might be looking at 1.5 million to 5 million people dead because the Venezuelans are not going to give up. They are going to fight against America. And be rest assured that they are going to fight with every single thing they have. And if you bring up a puppet government to stay in power, to force the nationalization of the assets of Venezuela, for you to take control of their oil wells through your companies, they will fight back. It amazes me how some people find it convenient to justify injustice. Exactly. Justification of injustice. It's wild. It's crazy that some people think it's okay to justify injustice. And these are the same people in America that are always calling for war. When they see war in the Middle East, they are dancing. When they see war in Asia, they are dancing. They want to go to war with China. They want to go to war with Afghanistan. They want to go to war with everybody. Going to war with everybody. And how does that even help the situation? America is facing a lot of economic problems. So this is an attempt to deflect from the reality on the ground, which is that the US President Donald Trump is clearly struggling. He's struggling with his base. Most of the promises he made before he came to power, he's failing to actualize some of these promises. And this is why they are deflecting and diverting attention to rally around support, because his seat is under threat. The guy basically will be gone in no time if this continues. So this is again Trump and his people trying to say, well, how do we deal with this situation at home? How do we take off these people protesting on the street and say for the No Kings protest with, close to 5 million people demonstrating across the length and breadth of the United States of America? Enough is enough. Why on earth are we justifying injustice and war? Why on earth are we justifying and making sense of what Trump is doing? Alleging narco war. I mean, there are a lot of it coming from Colombia, it's coming from Mexico, it's coming from everywhere. And you have people in America that are aiding and abetting this smuggling of narcotics into the United States of America. So why should Venezuela pay the price? The argument from previous governments about Venezuela has been, oh, it's not democratic, Maduro is a tyrant, he hates his own people, he's directly shooting at his own people, there's a need to clamp down the wings of Maduro. Maduro is not the best president, and so on and so forth. All this nonsense argument about democracy and human rights, we have had it over and over again. But is it really about democracy? No, Trump is not saying that. Trump is saying it's about narcotics that the Maduro government is participating and helping to bring into the United States of America, that is sustaining his government. So this is what Trump is saying. Do any of you believe that? I don't believe this for a second. For those of you just joining, if you have any question, you can leave it in the comment. Don't forget to share and like the live. We are just on 3K. We've been here for 39 minutes. 3K likes. Let's get the likes to at least 10,000. And join the team. Join the team if you can. And let's help amplify this live stream. Thank you so much for joining, guys. So this is what America is about. Talking about, oh, we have to do X, Y, Z, we have to do this, we have to do that, because Maduro is a tyrant. Because your claim is that Maduro is a dictator, therefore you must do whatever you need to do to take him out. Nobody believes this story anymore. It's a stale story. Nobody's buying this story anymore. It's a bullshit story. And all of this is an attempt for you to take their resources. And people have had enough. People have clearly had enough. So for those of you just joining, oh, thank you so much for the gifts. I appreciate that. America goes down, it will go quietly, it will try to pull other countries with it. Yes, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. America is not going to go down alone. Thank you for joining the team. Thank you for the likes. Thank you so much, Appel. Thank you, Lena. Thank you for the likes. We are on 4,000 likes already. Let's try to get the number to 20,000 likes. We are on 4,500 likes. Let's get the number to 20K likes. Thank you so much. Yeah, America would not want to go down alone. It wants to pull other people down. The US is not going to go down alone. You're absolutely right. And I already discussed extensively about the role that America has played in terms of I need to say this. America, I'm doing good. Half of the world is not more. What exactly do you mean by half of the world is not more? What do you mean when you say half of the world is not more? Make it clear. I want to know. What do you mean when you say the half of the world is not more? What exactly are you talking about when you say that half of the world is not more? What we are witnessing today is the fall of an empire in progress. I absolutely agree with you. So America, this is what they do. Empires, when they are on their way down, they swing, they fight, they throw hands, because they don't want to, go down alone. America is on its way down, and the demise is coming. Some will say sooner than later. It's America is clearly on its way down, and yeah, let's have a real, genuine conversation about what you guys think is happening in Venezuela. If anybody wants to come up, you can send a request. But about this topic, only about Venezuela and what is going on in the Americas. So as far as strategic ambiguity or full-scale invasion, here's the thing: America has not made it clear whether they want to go in directly or whether they want to do some, whether it's going to be done systematically, like Trump is claiming with the CIA and all these guys are going to put pressure on Maduro and try to get Maduro out from in out, or is it about bombing directly and going to war directly with Venezuela? In 2025, the US is willing to go to war to fight a barbaric, to launch a barbaric war against Venezuela, to take charge of their oil resources, to take charge of their oil wells, to take charge of their refineries, to dictate the economy of Venezuela in 2025. This is clear sheer barbarism. And President Trump is talking about Nobel Peace Prize. No, he doesn't deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. He deserves to go to jail. So does these European leaders. Nobody's saying anything. America believes that it has the right to park these naval vessels in the lawn of Venezuela, to stop it from selling its oil on the international market, and most importantly, to stop it from controlling its own resources. So the US is putting pressure on Venezuela, and you even saw a meme, a tweet from the US President Donald Trump, laughing sarcastically about, oh, well, Maduro and his people, they are begging me right now. Oh, thank you so much, Abel. Now.
I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you so much, Abel.
I'm sorry. I don't know that I've already.
Oh, thank you so much, Abel.
I'm sorry. I don't
Somebody,
know that I've already.
oh, thank guys, somebody has joined. I don't know. Do you want to say something? in relation to this conversation? Guys, don't bring anybody up yet. Just let me know if you want to bring. Shui! Hey, Shui, go live and join. That's what I need you to do. Yeah, we have to look at the people we are bringing up. Let's. It's probably somebody that can have a conversation about this topic.
Let me sit here while you teaching. I'll be quiet.
No problem. What's going on? What's going on? Yeah. So
Take
basically,
notes. I got notes. Go teach us right now, and let me know when I can chime in.
no problem. So the whole idea of going after narcotics and trying to stop them and say, oh well, we are trying to stop the inflow of narcos from Venezuela. Venezuela is not the only problem. And if you look at previous presidents, this has always been a standard policy in America, whether it's George Bush, whether it's even Barack Obama, all of them have had the same intention with Venezuela, but they've made different arguments. Under Obama and Bush, it's about democracy and how Hugo Chavez was a totalitarian and a dictator that is manipulating elections in Venezuela with the Chavistas, and that the Chavistas are intimidating people during elections. By the way, let's not forget that Venezuela under Maduro, under Hugo Chavez, uplifted the very poor in the society because of the policies of Bolivarian policies, or this policy, that was basically a derivative of what they call the Bolivarian Revolution. And the history of Venezuela, if you look at the history of Venezuela and Colombia, these were two countries that were decolonized at the same time and formed some sort of union. And this happened with the help of a guy called Simon de Bolivar and the decolonization efforts that happened in the Americas. In the United States of America have insisted that the whole of the Americas, whether it's in the South, in the center, and even countries like Canada, all of them are within America's sphere of influence. And this was what led to the whole idea of the Monroe Doctrine that I've talked about before as well. But let's focus on Venezuela and what is going on today. And I'm going to give you a timeline of the events and what has happened. So basically, let's look at the recent developments in 2025. The US on October 14th, 2025, President Trump announced that they carried out a strike on a drug trafficking boat off the coast of Venezuela that took out 6 people. This is according to Reuters. And earlier on September 2nd, 2025, another kinetic strike that they carried against another vessel, killing 11, which Trump called a drug trafficking link. You can see this from Reuters, The Guardian. Many of the international press did put out this as well, with the US president, saying now it's time to take out Maduro, it's time to take out this dictator, that most of the narcos are coming in from Venezuela. But why is nobody, like, if the US really wants to stop this smuggling, they should, do that with Mexico. Let them take it up with other countries, that are actually bringing in these narcos. Let's address the demand in America and the arms supplies that is going to those countries. I was listening to this documentary about the drug problem in Mexico, in the state of Baja California and places, border towns basically to America, Ciudad Juarez, Sinaloa, most of the states. So basically, some of them can drive into America and buy guns and bring back to Mexico with little or no search. It's like easy for them to go in and buy underground. So basically, an American citizen can own, let's say, 10,000 arms if he wants. If he wants to buy, go to the shop, gun shop, and buy 500 of them. He can buy. So what most of them do is that they buy some of these things and sell to some of the cartel guys that will come into America and buy these weapons. So the arms go in the other direction, and the narcos are coming this way. So it's all about demand and supply. America needs to address what is going on internally. But this is my thoughts. I mean, all of this is intertwined. The economic interests of the multinationals, the position of the US President Donald Trump, which of his transactional basically. It's all about transaction for him. I don't think he has any personal problem with Maduro, because some cannot tell me now that he feels that Maduro is a dictator. Maduro is a dictator and Kim Jong-un is not. Give me a break. Elections have been held in Venezuela, even if you don't agree with it. Elections are actually being held in Venezuela, but the US is so hell-bent on deposing Nicolas Maduro from power. And the same President Donald Trump is talking about his best friend, Kim Jong-un, and how he likes the military dictatorship happening over there. And his affinity with countries like Russia, how he loves the Russian army and strong leaders, you know, how he takes this joy to have this relationship more or less with countries like that and with leaders like that. And taking aversion to Maduro tells me that something is really happening. It's about interest. Whose interest? The interest of the United States of America. And when we say the national interest, we're referring to the interest of the ruling elites. In this case, the multinationals. And for those of you that have been paying attention to what is happening, the lady that won the Nobel Peace Prize said that if she becomes president of the country, and by the way, she's talking to Fox News and some of the right-wing news media in America, that if she becomes the president, that she will see through the nationalization of some of these national assets that were the privatization, not nationalization, the privatization of these national assets, as it happened under the leadership of Hugo Chavez. Hugo Chavez came in and brought in this socialist experiment. This has been there in Venezuela for a very long time, but he made it possible to transfer wealth from the rich to the poor, lifted a lot of people from poverty, built schools. And America does not like that, because if you are a socialist, and you don't allow American multinationals to come and take control of your sovereignty and your country, you are an enemy of humanity. You're part of the axis of evil, quote unquote. Well, you can also understand America's argument to some extent that, well, Venezuela is getting too cozy with Russia. We heard of Russian assets and military personnel on the ground in Venezuela. They are giving them, they're giving them missile system. They are giving them, all sorts of kinetic apparatus to fight against who? To defend themselves and fight against the United States of America. So America might have an argument that they don't want it to be used as they don't want Venezuela to be used as a forward operating base for China and Russia. And I clearly understand that. But this is not the argument that Trump is making. Trump is making an argument that is deceptive, that does not really add up. It doesn't really add up. As we speak right now, some are saying that over the past 24 hours, the Venezuelan skyline has been a no-fly zone. That planes are not allowed to fly in there. I don't know how authentic this is. I'll have to confirm that. But one thing for certain, the US President Trump said clearly that under his instruction that the CIA is on ground in Venezuela trying to remove Maduro from within. So the CIA covert operation, admission and land, and we can look at that. Trump confirmed that he has authorized the CIA to operate covertly in Venezuela. He has also indicated that land operations are being considered as a next phase. These operations, according to him, are justified because of narcotics coming in from Venezuela. Well. Let's say the same thing about Colombia, because Colombia and Venezuela are in proximity to each other. So whatever Venezuela can do, or traffickers can do from Venezuela, Colombia can do as well. So is the US ready to go into Colombia to bomb it back to the dark ages, to stop this the inflow of narcos coming in from those countries, from that country? Is it going to do it to Guyana? Will it do it to Mexico? Yes, the multinationals want the oil of Venezuela, and this is what it has always been. And the history goes back a long time, like I said. It's not just about Venezuela, and it's not even about Chavez and Maduro. This is the interest of the multinationals. The power of the state will leave it. If you look at the international system, state power is eroding. The multinationals are not loyal to any state. Look at people like Larry Fink. Look at his asset management firm like BlackRock, and you look at the other big ones like Vanguard and State Street. Some of these guys have assets in Switzerland, assets in France. They are not loyal to one country. They are operating all around the world. So they are pushing governments around the world to do their bidding. They are paying governments to use the coercive apparatus of the state to go and smash up people in order to protect their interest, to protect their pocket. So when they tell you it is the interest of the United States of America, and they tell you it's about national interest, what they truly mean is that it is the interest of the ruling elites, the political elite, the economic elite, and all of them in between. It has nothing to do with the average Joe living in Florida or some American guy living in North Dakota. What does he know? If American personnel are sent into Sierra Leone under the guise of containing Ebola or under the guise of instituting democracy, what they're actually doing is that they are going into gold mines, and other rare earth minerals that they are taking from Sierra Leone and Liberia. And most people don't know this, that American forces, special forces, came into these two countries I mentioned in West Africa, and they are still there today. There's no conflict in Sierra Leone anymore. There's no conflict in Liberia. And what is the role of these people? And what are they really doing in West Africa? So all of this is use them to protect the assets of certain individuals and certain multinationals, certain groups and certain elites, and using that and say, oh, we are going that in the name of the state. And we can also say the same thing about France. So America is locked and loaded, ready to go to war, to smash Venezuela, blow it back to the dark ages, to hand it over back for the political elites to hand it over back to their friends to mine oil there without paying the fair royalties that this country actually wants. So this is what it's about. Just one quick one, Trump. Yeah, let me look at the comments. Sorry. Trump would not have announced his plans to send CIA if they weren't already there. No. Yeah, exactly. He said they were already there. That the CIA was already in the country and that they are working covertly. And you know the kind of pressure it's putting on the President Maduro and his people? The fact that there are people inside covertly collecting information. And this is not a poor country, by the way. People say that Venezuela have like some of the largest oil reserves in the world. The country is less than 100 million, so the world can go round. If Venezuela is allowed to sell its oil in the time, Venezuela will basically be like Saudi Arabia in terms of the largesse that is able to afford these people. But they are not allowing that. And people are celebrating and saying, yes, oh, they deserve it because America is the real power, let's go and smash them. Well, I don't think it's prudent. And I'm not even saying that politics is about morality. It has nothing to do with morality. When it comes to statecraft, morality takes the backseat. But my opinion is that America is too big for its mush. It's pushing around a lot of people. And it needs to be called out. I mean, calling them out is not going to make any difference because these leaders don't even care. They're not listening to anything. 20,000 people dead is nothing to them. 100,000, 1.5 million, they can sleep well at night, knowing fully well that they are going to protect the interests of their friends. So it's about the interest. It's about the economic interest. Every other thing is secondary. For those of you just joining, we are on 15K likes. Let's get the likes to 30K. If you have any question, you can leave it in the comments. If you want to join in the team, thank you for joining. If you want to join the conversation in an adversarial way, or you want to join in and you have new points to suggest, I would appreciate that. So basically, if you look at the early relations between the US and Venezuela, the US recognized Venezuela on the 28th of February 1835 after Venezuela separated from Gran Colombia. And I've talked about the history before with the role of people like Simon de Bolivar. The currency of Venezuela today is called the Bolivar. And yeah, and most of you have also heard about the Bolivarian Revolution and the whole idea of Hugo Chavez and the social, the prospect that it came with at that point in time, because Hugo Chavez was very popular. You know, there was a military coup that removed him, and some section of the military as well reinstated him after protests in the country. So the history goes back a long time. And the US as well have played a role, not just in Venezuela, but around the world, particularly in the Americas, during the period of what they call the Cold War. And we'll look at a few of those areas that they participated in. But before that, US and Venezuela signed the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, Navigation and Commerce in 1836. For most of the 20th century, the two countries had relatively cooperative ties, especially around the oil industry. All of that changed with the emergence of Hugo Chavez that decided to nationalize. The nationalization efforts have been going on since the 50s, by the way. But Chavez did a lot of reforms, and the elites are not happy in America, and they will never forget. And this is why they want to go back to Venezuela. But America would have to be very careful not to start up another major war in its backyard like they've always done. And if they want to put a blockade on Venezuela not to sell its oil, Venezuela have good relations with Brazil. They can use their Brazilian ports to sell their oil. Smuggling will happen and will continue to happen. So this has nothing to do with whatever they are talking about democracy and the narcos. It has nothing to do with that. So like I said, for much of the 20th century, the two countries had relatively cooperative ties, especially around the oil industry. From the mid to the 20th century, we can also look at the relationship between America and Venezuela. By the way, I said something before about the US recognizing Venezuela on the 28th of February 1835 as Venezuela separated from Gran Colombia. After independence, they formed a confederation. Colombia and Venezuela formed the confederation, then separated in 1835, and this is what the US decided to recognize. Now, Venezuela became a major oil producer, and US companies went in there, substantial investment, and in 1976, Venezuela nationalized its oil industry via Petroleos. Okay, there was a nationalization effort around the 70s. The national oil company is called Petróleos de Venezuela, SA, PDVSA, that's the name. Um, and by, and with that as well, with the emergence, like I said, of Hugo Chavez in 1999 and with Maduro, they continue to move towards socialism. They continue to move towards, the state controlling its national assets, controlling the economy, the state playing a greater role in the economy. And the elites in America are not happy with it because to them, the purest form of economic model is capitalism. The purest form of political model is democracy. And when you have a fusion of these two, they almost believe that it's a panacea to all the social and economic problems. So it's more or less. Here's the thing, right? And you guys, my mic. What's wrong with my mic? Is it not clear enough? Yeah, Venezuela was thriving under Chavez. What exactly is wrong with my mic? Is it too loud? Is it too low? What exactly is wrong with my mic?
You're so annoying.
Yeah. No, I want to know. Please tell me, because I'm trying to see.
I don't
Uh,
know. It was a. I can hear you.
you can hear me clearly, right? Appel, what's wrong with my mic?
He said it changed.
Did it change? Or is it my
Hey,
voice?
I want you to know he lied about the CIA.
Is it like a game of how do you call it? A game of deception to put pressure on Maduro to make him feel that they are coming while they are not really coming.
And then if you make them feel like they're coming when they're not really coming, who gonna hit first?
Maybe Venezuela would preemptively hit America, then America have a casus belli or a justification to bomb the shit out of Venezuela and rally around the people and say, "Oh, it's not our fault." Well, you're clearly goading them and you're temporarily besieging and putting like a blockade on Venezuela. That's what it looks like. And I can pull up the map for you to see. Basically, because that outlet on the sea is where they're selling their oil through. Put sanctions on them, and you are more or less implementing this blockade to stop it. Yeah.
No, we have 10,000 troops out there. It was just confirmed on Military Times today. We thought we had 4,500. Apparently, there are 10,000 Marines, and naval sailors, and three USS destroyers, and a attack submarine, a control ship. So we're getting ready. But if you think about it, he would never tell anybody. And we had to think about this for a couple of days. You would have put everybody that you sent on that mission at risk if they were American in that country as soon as you said that they were going in. But if he did it preemptively, trying to signify that he wanted Venezuela to hit first because Brazil and Colombia are mobilizing against us, then we can hit all three at once.
Yeah, but this is Trump. It's not a logical being. The guy is not a.
Yeah,
It's not a.
this is
It's
yeah,
not a.
you are correct. This is the same toupee that hit Iran. So trust me when I say he doesn't have any issue hitting fucking Venezuela or Colombia.
Exactly. So if Trump said the CIA is there, and people say, "Oh, he's insane. Why did he say that? Because it's going to jeopardize their mission." The same Trump said it very clear. The time that the B-2 bombers were going to bomb, how they were taking off, he was snapping them and sending them to the enemy. Like the guy's not the sharpest tool in the, but again, he's a big fat bully. How do you call it? It's a flat track bully. So he says it the way he feels, and he might even write on his um, Truth Social if the planes take off to bomb Venezuela, and even tell them the location of the troops. So again, I don't really know for sure. It's there's this thing that applied where they say the madman theory, and this is why a lot of people are scared. And Maduro is even more than willing to have conversations with him in that regard because Trump is unpredictable. Even though we're saying that, oh, well, Trump is a peacemaker. No, he's not. He's not. People get this wrong. They think, oh, well, he's trying to stop war. He's not trying to stop shit.
Who the hell is
Sorry.
we? Americans don't call him fucking peacemakers. He's raising hell on soil. We don't say that. MAGA can't even say that.
Yeah, I mean, I see people that have like a private, what do you call them? Yeah, people that have big platforms like Joe Rogan and Patrick Bet Davis and all these guys. Whether you like it or not, they do have some voice, and this is exactly what they're saying. Now, is it because they're right wing or can Trump do no wrong? Because they are echoing the sentiments of some people in America, or you can say a good number of people in the United States, some of them MAGA, that believe that Trump is actually a peacemaker, and he is bragging himself that he has stopped 7 wars. Like, I mean, I don't know what 7 wars he's talking about, but this is what he's claiming. And this is why he's even asking to be given the Nobel Peace Prize, because he wants to be on the same pedestal with Barack Obama. Thank you, Abel. He's talking about Trump. Yeah, I'm talking about Trump. I'm talking about Trump. And him
I
playing,
think
playing.
that I think you're missing a key piece, and I just sent it to you on Discord. And with that key piece, I want you to put together what I'm about to say to you. The Dutch have cut off how much intelligence they are going to give the United States of America less than 7 hours ago. And what I just sent you was Greenland. The second thing I'm sending you is the Rare Earth Project in Greenland, which would make sense of Donald Trump's pickings of the countries that he's targeted.
Hmm. So this is like a project he has on his table, and it's ticking and ticking and ticking and ticking. So wake up call for all of us in terms of Greenland. Let's see. A top Greenlandic representative in the Danish parliament has said that the Russian war in Ukraine and the US domestic turmoil are spilling into the Arctic affairs. Well, well, well. And we just did an agreement on defense in the Arctic, a budget of more than 4 billion USD, she said, adding the focus is on air, sea, and underwater surveillance, including clear signaling on borders and sovereignty. So again, I don't
Now,
understand.
you got to
How,
go to
how,
the second. You got to
how
go
is
to the
this
second
connected?
article I sent you. You got to go to the second article that I just sent you to see why. He's been planning to attack certain countries: Canada, Mexico, Venezuela, Greenland, Iran. 2020. Greenland's on the list.
Hmm. Okay, so let's see. Give me a second. I am trying to see on my map. Okay, I'm trying to put it on the screen.
Do you want us to start letting people up?
Yeah, if somebody can come and have a conversation about this topic, and you know them, you
Yeah,
can
you
let me
got
know.
3 other requests.
Yeah, but no Israel Palestine, no crash out. I don't want to hear that today. Nobody. No Israel Palestine. Once they come up and they bring up Israel Palestine, block straight. I don't want to hear that. America and what is going on in the Americas, and the current posture of the US government in relations to what is happening in Europe and across the board. Um, no problem, Tiffany. That's fine. So this is for green rare earth project. Critical metals secures So critical metal secures 120 million loan for its Danbury's rare earth project in Greenland. The funding package is expected to enable the Danbury's project to complete pre-production activities and commerce mining. Uh, yeah, so this is in relation to Greenland. So earlier on, like the initial article you sent to me, talked about. Nah, he's gone. Who's gone? Me? I'm here. Shui, are you referring to me? Shu- Are you there, Shui? Somebody's playing
You
music.
can hear me?
I don't know who this person is playing music, but it's for God's sake.
My shit low key is blacked out, so I'm gonna drop down and come back up. All right, Seth.
Yeah, yeah, but there's the music for me. I don't. Her power is out. Oh, where's Shui? That's I was asking. So I'm going to pull up the map for you guys to see. Okay. So let's look at what is really going on here. Give me a second. Trying to get on the big screen. Okay. Yeah. There you go. There you go. So let's do this. So this is what it looks like. This is the Caribbean Sea. So the US vessels are basically here. Let's see, Venezuela. I think they are somewhere around here or here. So this is Curacao. Venezuela is actually a very big country. So they are trying to stop them from exporting their oil and imposing this partial naval blockade on them. But it's not going to be easy. But the target is the nerve center, is the capital, Caracas. And thanks for the follow, guys. Arauca. Does anyone know much about gallium and what countries have it? Yes, we know about gallium, and let me show you. I wanted to put this up in a bit. I'll show you in a second. Nigeria does have gallium. It's also a rare earth mineral. I think that gallium is also. I think it's a magnetic. It's magnetic in form. Some of these rare earth minerals that are used for your defense system, gallium is one of them. Gallium is one of them, and China have like an almost monopoly in terms of not just get access to these minerals, but also from other countries. So gallium is one of those minerals. I know it's magnetic like and it's used in the defense sector. There is so many countries around this area. And the question is, what will be the impact of this U.S. attack on Venezuela? Miss Indy, thank you so much. The US and Australia are building a gallium refinery in Australia. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, Australia have rare earth minerals, but China have the refining. In terms of the refining, I think the Chinese are the ones that have almost like more or less the monopoly of it. Australia have a lot of rare earth minerals. So does China, by the way. Japan is helping to fund it. Yeah, so I think Trump and his people, they are done with outsourcing. They don't want to depend on anybody for anything anymore. But it's going to be tricky because the cost of refining, the cost of getting them out is not going to be efficient, and it's going to cost more. For instance, and it will make it difficult for America. power on power to compete with China in the defense sector. So if China is supplying America with some of these critical rare earth minerals needed in their defense sector, and America decides to do the refining themselves, Australia does not have the manpower, does not have the technological base like China have probably, in order to do this. Who else is an alliance with Venezuela? Me, I stand with Venezuela. Russia and China. The US should focus on not building weapons anymore. If they don't build weapons anymore, where do you think American power will be? Of course, the US needs to build weapons. Why do you think they shouldn't build weapons anymore? The US will continue to build and build and build. So what do you think they should focus on building if you don't want them to build the weapons anymore? The guy is a liar. Don't trust him. Okay. Uh, I'm not looking for trust. I'm just talking politics. I'm not looking for trust. I'm not asking you to start up a company in my backyard. The guy with the Hebrew name, I don't really care, to be honest, about what you think. An attempt to invade, intervention, because in 2015, the US declared Venezuela a national security threat. Is it any surprise to you guys that this happened in 2015? And who was president in 2015? Surprise, surprise, Trump. In 2019, during a domestic Venezuelan political crisis, Venezuela severed ties, political ties with the US, accusing the US of supporting a coup attempt. Fact, the US imposed extensive sanctions on Venezuelan oil industry and other sectors to pressure Maduro's government. So this happened between 2015 and 2019, and Trump was the one in power. Was the first female war tank driver in the Venezuelan military. Ooh, yeah, that's interesting. Are you from Venezuela? Yeah, they are amazing people. Yeah, that's interesting. But you're based in the West. What is your opinion on what is happening in Venezuela, especially from 2015? They tried to intervene in the election with Guaido. They tried to force Guaido, and they're trying to remove Maduro. A coup attempt on Maduro. Oh, the family is from there. That's interesting. But do you have an opinion on what is going on? Do you have an opinion on what is going on? Thank you for the likes, guys. Let's go. Um, so, guys, I'm going to restart the stream so I can uh, put this video on my Patreon. So, for those of you that want to see a full video of this conversation on my Patreon, um, feel free to check the link on my bio. The link is there if you want to see the full video on my Patreon. The link is on my bio. Let's go. Um, you can subscribe there as well for $5, $5 per month. Um, yeah, that's the way to also support my broadcast. You can check me out on Patreon, and I'll be posting my regular conversations and videos like this on my Patreon. And don't forget, I talk about everything: geopolitics, African politics, and a lot more. Thank you so much, guys.